Hi there, it's Nick broadcasting at you once again on the Get Me Off Grid video blog, which is a video blog which I'm using to raise funds so that I myself can get off grid. I mean, I myself can sit here and I can rabbit at you about green issues until the cows come home, but I don't believe it's actually going to do any good unless I'm actually living it, okay? That's why I'm raising money, so I can actually make it happen. Now, I've touched on a few things before, including a bit about food storage and security and the rest of it. You might or might not be able to hear a little whirring noise in the background. That is my dehydrator going, because I'm experimenting with some of the technology in here and now. This is like a dry run in many different ways with some of the technology that I've been looking into, shall we say. But today what I want to do is talk about the dead of the winter. I know it's a beautiful spring day out there, the sun's shining, the birds are singing, it's beautiful, you can get a tan. And on top of that, you don't need to use your heating, so why on earth would I be talking about the dead of the winter? Because basically, once this project is up and running, and once I've raised enough money to be able to actually go completely and utterly off grid, get the land, get the self-sufficient house built, okay, to my specifications, then I've got to start thinking about how am I going to fuel it, okay? There's lots of different ways in which that can be done, but what I'm going to focus in on now is the dead of the winter technology. If I was right now living self-sufficient, okay, and it was this time of the year and the weather was like this, I would be using this time constructively, because I'd not only be planting and doing all kinds of wonderful things with the vegetables to make sure that they actually work out according to plan, so I've got food to eat and I can do my dehydrating so I can store things for long term, okay? But also I'd have to be gathering the energy for the dead of the winter. Now the spring and the autumn, one can use biomass in a different way. That would be much more liquid biomass than solid biomass with the way in which I envisage things, okay? In the dead of the winter, you can't use biodiesel to supplement your energy requirements. You would have to use solid fuel. Okay, I've mentioned this briefly before, but now I'm going to tell you a bit about it through a technology called wood pellets. Now I've been playing about with wood pellets in the past. I'm sure you've seen me with a cook stove, which was designed to use wood pellets, creating wood gas, which can then be used to essentially cook food with. But that was an updraft system. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you some more links, as well as the fundraising link. Please visit that as well. But also there's more links to more information out there, because you've got to discuss the technology and essentially how it all works, so that you can think about incorporating this into some plans. Now don't get overexcited about this if you're someone who's living in a flat or living in a terrace property and you've got like no garden or anything, because some technologies you can use, some technologies you can't use. You've got to base this upon the application. I'm basing this on the idea that I'm going to be able to raise enough money from that link down there for me to be able to go completely and utterly off grid. That means having a couple of acres of land and being able to try and source and harvest as much energy as I can. From the top, what is a gasifier? Well, in the old days, people actually used to make gas on their property. So there would be a large country house, they would need gas for the property, so essentially they would make gas from coal. But this technology I'm going to tell you about today is for wood gas production. And there's various kits already out there on the market for you to play around and experiment with wood gas production for a downdraft system, not like the little cook stove, which was an updraft system. So the smoke goes up, it gets ignited by extra air holes around the top, and then that provides you with the flames that burn the smoke as a separate form of fuel, so that you can then cook. This actually draws the air downwards, and as it does so, it increases the rate of combustion. The smoke is produced, carbon monoxide, hydrogen, methane, and all of these things become fuel for an engine. So you take a standard 4-stroke petrol engine and basically you're fueling it with wood gas, namely the smoke that comes out of smouldering biomass, wood pellets. Alright, so the first thing I've got there is for some commercial gasifier experimenters kits, or at least one of them, okay? Now I'll give you an idea, this is already a big thing. And beneath that, there's also the link to the FEMA plans. Now FEMA's decided that just in case there is some kind of fuel emergency, people will still need to power their vehicles. So the old technology from the early part of the 20th century that was actually used in wartime when people couldn't actually get food. Distribution is very important when you think about food security for the population of a nation. Alright, these plans are out there, so you can actually design and build one to specification, taking into account the quantity of energy that you want to be able to create. And there's some information on the commercial gasifier experimentalist kit of being able to generate between 10 and 20 kilowatts. And if you get a small enough storage heater and you were to generate that power, think about what you could do with that. Okay, I'll leave you with that thought for the moment, we'll come back to that later. Now, as far as the actual wood pellets are concerned, you can make them yourself. It requires technology, requires a bit of machinery, but if you get the machinery, you can actually make the wood pellets from scrap pieces of wood which are in your local woodlands. You can get it from, rubbish from the building sites and all the rest of that, okay? You can also get it from paper. But firstly, the next link on the system there is for a wood pellet mill. So you can see these things can be bought. The last price I saw was about £600 to get one flown in from China, including delivery and VAT and all the other tax concerns. So essentially that's not, too bad for a small wood pellet mill. And with those things, if you've got enough raw matter, you can probably chuck out about a ton's worth in a day. So you can store your wood, and you can then chip it, and you can then put it through the wood pellet mill, and you can make your own pellets. These things can be used in a domestic stove for domestic heating in the winter, or it can be used straight away for cooking on a little tin can wood gasifier stove, or alternatively you can use that to generate electricity through going through a downdraft system and so on. It's amazing. Now if you get yourself a paper pulverizer as well, that means you can build a relationship with all the local offices. Okay, all the local offices that want to do their security destruction of paper, and what I'll do is I will pulverize the paper for you. All the information will be destroyed. If there's any stuff you want, got rid of, commercial, sensitive information, whatever, let me know. We'll put it through the machine, we'll crush it, we'll turn it to a pulp, and we'll use that pulp in other ways and recycle it. How you recycle it is you take it back home to your land and you turn it into wood pellets and you use it for heating. So there's another ecology going on there. It's not just a question of caring for the environment. You can actually provide a service to businesses, possibly at a lower cost, taking into account the fact that you're going to be using the actual wood pellets or paper pellets as a form of fuel yourself. So there's ways in which this can actually be done if you're off-grid. And of course, finally, I've got a link to a wood chipper as well. So this is the kind of technology that you might actually need to use. I'll go into biodiesel at a later stage and how that can be used for energy production as well. But I think you're starting to see the picture of how your year could actually work out. I mean, let's say in the spring and in the summer, if I've got some food and I want to preserve it, get the dehydrator out, get that running, spend a bit of time in the garden, planting, doing all kinds of wonderful stuff out there, preparing for, let's say, the next season, using the great solar energy that we've got today to power the dehydrator, so I don't have to worry about like losing on the bank of batteries that I'm going to have. Okay, so essentially I'm planning the system. But when it comes to the winter, what you can do is you can use your time during the spring and the summer and the autumn to gather the paper, and also use any junk mail that's come through your letterbox. You've had a whole heap of it today, I'm telling you. And you can even put that through your paper pulverizer as well, and you can generate the pellets that you'll need in the winter to keep yourself warm when the temperatures hit -20. Seriously, around here last winter, we really hit -20. It was bitter. Just going for a short walk outside, it was like dangerous for your health, man. So you obviously need to have a big building, constructed well, decent insulation, possibly even like almost Norman construction. When the Normans came over here to England, what they did is they made buildings that were very massive, very thick walls, because they didn't know all that much about, how to make buildings more efficiently. So that's why I'm saying it's Norman design. Of course it won't be Norman design. I'm just saying use thick walls, lots of insulation, and I'm going to cover insulation materials in a subsequent video blog. Now I hope you like the information that I'm giving you. If you do respect it, if you do think it's worthwhile seeing the whole story as to how this project could actually work out, then why not contribute? There's a link down there which you can use to provide me with some money so I can actually do it. And when I'm actually out there and doing it, I'll be able to explain to you on a regular basis, a weekly basis, what I've done during the week to assist me in the whole year, so that you yourselves can think about how you can do it yourself. And actually today all I've done is I've talked about the kind of technology that you basically need to use if you are a landowner. Okay, if you're just someone in a rented room, that's a different situation. If you just got a house, you haven't got all that much room or all that much space, this technology will be out of the question, because the technology you use is based upon the application. But I'll be talking about some other stuff which you guys can use as well, just to help to provide a bit of extra energy for yourselves and all kinds of other fun things. Okay, I do believe the time for dilettantic or hobby type technology is completely and utterly out the window. I really think we've got to start taking this stuff seriously because of what's coming down for all of us as a species. Okay, we've all heard about peak oil. I'm not doing this because of left-wing politics. I'm not doing this because of right-wing politics. I'm not doing this because of Christian politics or pagan politics or New Age politics. I'm doing this because I personally believe it's right. And I personally believe it is the right thing to do to actually start living the message and not just talking about it. And this is what I'm planning on doing with your help, because I can't do this alone. But essentially, if we all get together and then I can provide the example, then essentially you'll be able to see all the little things. And I'll be having so many projects going around this property. It's going to be fascinating. And on top of that, you know, you're really going to be able to see what you personally can actually use yourself, whether you're a homeowner or whether you're not. That's one of the goals of this particular video blog. I'll speak to you in a while. Subscribe, rate, comment, donate.